Here with me in the studio is our international affairs commentator, Doug Herbert. Doug, let me just turn to you. Did you get the feeling when you watched that debate that both candidates had really thoroughly done their homework?
Well, first of all, it's a very good question because a lot was made of the various preparation or, as the case may be, lack of preparation approaches to this debate going in. Donald Trump has always made, his signature has always been sort of speaking off the cuff, being able to sort of appear before, get a reading of his audience and speak in a sort of unrehearsed style. And he's always been very resistant until recently when he had a new campaign team coming in to shackle him into a teleprompter and have to read a little bit, at least a little bit, to try to stay on message there. Hillary Clinton made no bones about it. Yeah, she prepared for the debate, and at one point there was even a moment where she confronted Donald Trump on this issue and said, "Yes, Donald, I have prepared for this debate. You know what else I've prepared for? To be president of the United States," getting her dig in there. But look, generally, what this debate has been framed with in the American media, if you're going to use really the term debate, let's call it encounter, perhaps, an opportunity for Donald Trump's part, for Americans to see him standing next to Hillary Clinton. Is he fit to be president? It was an issue of his temperament, his fitness for the highest elected office in the United States. For Hillary Clinton, she had a challenge as well. She couldn't come across as being seen as contemptuous of her rival. She couldn't come across as people thinking, oh, she's just standing there thinking, how could I possibly be in this tight race with this guy standing here? She had to look respectful in a way, yet defend herself while also going on the offensive. The initial polls of opinion, and you cited one, it was a CNN poll showing that 62% of debate watchers among CNN pollies think that Hillary Clinton won the debate versus only 27% for Trump. And why do they think that? They think that most of the time she was the one on the offensive. She was the one getting under Donald Trump's skin on a number of topics right from the outset, where she said he's got out his start in business with a nice little $14 million loan from his father, borrowed money from his father, to which Donald Trump quickly retorts, it was a very small loan. She gets him again later on about the economy, the housing crisis, saying that basically Donald Trump had been rooting for the housing collapse. Why? So that he'd be able to buy property on the cheap. And time and again, we see her sort of going after him. Later in the debate, the second part on race, women's issues, minorities. She says this is a man who's called women pigs, dogs, and slobs. In a way, Trump didn't even directly respond to it. He made a reference to someone else that he had once said belittled a little bit, another TV celebrity. And it was very interesting. So there was a sense that Donald Trump was still Trump, but he wasn't always as much on the offensive as he could have been, maybe a sense of unpreparedness on his part.
Okay, let me bring you into the conversation. Paul Reen, you're Vice President of Republicans Overseas. Thank you so much for coming to see us this morning. Donald Trump, first of all, is the first presidential candidate in decades not to disclose his tax returns, and Hillary Clinton really went for the jugular on that particular issue. Yeah. I mean, did you get the impression he came across as someone who looks like he's hiding something?
Unfortunately, he kind of did. You know, and as a Republican, I'll say it straight. You know, he didn't have his best night. The way I look at it was kind of, well, I did, to your point on the CNN poll, you are correct, but I'm glad you said that was a CNN viewership. And I think the person who did that poll right up front said almost 70% of the people that we polled were leaning Democrat. And 62% then thought that Hillary won the debate. So it makes you think, some of them actually thought that Trump won the debate. That was a very skewed, and they were honest about it. CNN was honest about it. I looked at it as a debate that was like almost 2 rounds. The first round, in the beginning, Trump really did a good job on the economy. And really won the first hour of the debate. Not quite an hour, about a little less than an hour. And then Clinton won the second half. And she won it kind of resoundingly, so she came off winning the debate. But
you have to hand it to her, don't you, that she had some pretty good slogans in there.
Yeah.
She'd really done her homework, you know, the trumped up, trickled down kind of taglines that she came across looking very polished.
She was more prepared. Of course, as he pointed out in a little jab there, that he's been out on the road meeting people, and she's been home preparing. She did a better job of preparing. But he did make a lot of excellent points. Did you?
No, continue.
Yeah. He did make a lot of excellent points on a lot of issues, but he didn't handle the gotcha questions too well. One thing, I mean, he didn't do a very good job on the birther and the birth certificate issues. He didn't do a good job on defending his tax, not releasing his taxes yet, although he keeps saying that he will. And so he should have been more prepared for that. But I want to be clear that he didn't do a very good job on defending himself. But you have to also look. I don't want to whine about the moderator, but you have to think about the questions that were asked to Donald Trump in the second half. Birth certificate, defend yourself. Any corresponding question to Hillary? Nothing. Taxes, defend yourself. Anything corresponding to Hillary? You called Hillary that she didn't look presidential. Any question?
However, Lester Holt, who moderated, is a registered Republican voter. So he had no interest, did he, in trying to make Clinton look better?
I'm just evaluating the questions as they were
Well, he's
posed.
come in for quite a bit of criticism himself, the moderator. I mean, the reports they've been pretty harsh on how that
But
debate
no
was
questions were posed to Hillary on the same kind of scandals. Like no questions were asked on Benghazi. No questions were asked on her private email server. No questions were asked on the Clinton Foundation. These were all things that could have been, at least to balance out, if we're going to ask things to Trump and then let Hillary just kind of like pile on.
Paul, I just wanted
it would have been more
balanced.
fair.
Just for a second, I'll just point out two little things. One of the criticisms in the American media, paradoxically, given what you just said, is that actually the moderator was seen as almost invisible for a lot of the debate, actually not intervening perhaps in moments where he should have intervened. And there was even someone counted how many times at one point Donald Trump interrupted Hillary Clinton at the outset of the debate. They actually counted it. It was 25 times in the first 26 minutes, which is why you got that meme going around, unprepared man shouting over a prepared woman. I wanted to ask you, though, very briefly, you're a Republican overseas.
Yeah.
You obviously, you're not very gung-ho about this debate. About Donald Trump's, your candidate's performance in this debate. I'm wondering how you think maybe other Republicans, I mean, are you worried other Republicans watching tonight, if they think the way you do, can we see a shift in the voting tendencies?
Well, you're
not enthusiastic here.
No, I'm not saying he got this. I watched the CNN. I watched the debate on CNN, and I watched the CNN pundits afterwards. And they were all, showing that poll where 60% of viewers.
Trump's former campaign manager, I will point out, was on that panel of CNN, Corey Lewandowski.
Yeah, they didn't
Trump's
get too many.
He was on that panel.
Surrounded by Hillary supporters, of course. They had a couple token Trump supporters. But, I mean, and everybody said she just won, by a landslide, and it was just a complete destruction. That's not the case. I mean, she did well. Yeah, sure. Am I disappointed that he didn't win? And I think it was close. I think it was very close, closer than the Hillary pundits will say it is. But Hillary's had a terrible month, and Donald Trump has had all the momentum. He's really been rising in the polls, and he had an opportunity tonight, to really pass her in all the polls, and he just kind of let an opportunity slip out through his fingers.
So you think he'll do better in the next two?
I think he'll learn from it, and he'll do better, and he'll come back more prepared.
Let me put this to both of you, actually. You're both Americans, and I'm not. And of course, Hillary Clinton has many years' experience in a rather stateswoman-like capacity. Donald Trump has many years' experience in a sort of more of an entertainment capacity as a reality TV personality. Which of those skill sets do you think is likely to be favored more ultimately by the electorate? Which is more useful in a debate like this? Let me start with you.
Well, you didn't really. I'm not completely in agreement with your premise and your description of Donald Trump. Yeah, he's been in entertainment, but he's a businessman. He's in addition, that's his primary history and experience is creating a hugely successful real estate firm and building, as we know, giant skyscrapers and golf courses all over the world. This is the year of the anti-establishment, and I think a lot of people are forgetting that, and many perhaps many of your viewers don't really grasp that in my opinion, the majority of Americans are really looking for a change. And the fact that a career politician versus a businessman, people are looking for a change. They're looking for somebody to bring something different, especially in terms of economic policies and business-friendly policies. And Hillary Clinton, everybody knows her. She's not just a politician. She's a politician that everybody knows about. I would say that she's a corrupt politician, and everybody knows this. And that's why it's kind of frustrating not to see any of her scandals even brought up by the moderator. Yes, she speaks like a politician, but I don't think it's going to be an advantage versus Trump.
Doug, briefly, the entertainer or the stateswoman?
Look, this whole debate is entertainment. The whole political process in the U.S. has become an entertaining spectacle. This was like a gladiatorial combat tonight. You may have well just staged it in the Roman Colosseum. Why not, and be done with it? Look, Americans have elected entertainers before. That's not quite the issue here. Ronald Reagan, he had also happened to have been governor of California, which does count as quite substantial political experience. I think at the end of the day, there's this false equivalency in the argument that, being a business person necessarily qualifies you to be president of the United States. We've had billionaire business people run for president of the United States. Ross Perot, notably, he was as an independent candidate. We've had Michael Bloomberg, a billionaire who's mayor of New York, not running for president. There was talk perhaps he would. But at the end of the day, I think that debate is becoming a little outdated, where just because you can run a business as a CEO, you're necessarily qualified to run a country. They are very different things, as Hillary Clinton would like to prove that you also need experience on the diplomatic stage, experience that goes beyond the nuts and bolts of keeping a balance ledger of losses and income on your balance sheet.
Yeah, but it depends on the history that you have and the track record you have.
Donald Trump's filed for bankruptcy
in that negotiation.
6 times.
Okay, gentlemen, we're going to have to leave it there. We're going to have to thank you so much, Doug Herbert, our international affairs editor. We'll be speaking to you again shortly. Paul Reen, Vice President of the Republicans overseas. Thank you to you.
Thanks.